It's time for the latest edition of Trailblazer Weekly. I'm your host, Carrick Segmiller, and today we've got a loaded show for you as we look back at last week's basketball scores and highlights. And with the beginning of the spring season, we have a ton of baseball, softball, and women's tennis scores to recap as well. Later in the show, we'll sit down with football head coach Shane McClure to recap last week's National Signing Day. It's all coming up next, so don't go anywhere. Trailblazer Weekly starts now. Again, welcome inside this week's edition of Trailblazer Weekly. We open the show today on the baseball diamond as a baseball team opened its 2018 with a gauntlet of 6 games in 4 days at Bruce Hurst Field. Trailblazers opened the busy weekend with a Thursday evening matchup with Montana State Billings in a game spanning nearly 4 full hours. The game quickly turned into a slugfest as both teams recorded double-digit hits. MSUB jumped out to a 4-0 lead before DSU rallied with 4 runs to tie the game at 4-4. Trailblazers took their first lead of the game with 4 runs in the 4th inning, but the Yellow Jackets eventually tied the game at 11-11 in the 9th inning. The tie didn't last long as Kyle Hoffman ended the game with a walk-off single in the 9th to give DSU a 12-11 win. The Yellow Jackets responded on Friday, scoring 6 runs in the 3rd inning and 5 runs in the 9th inning to take a 15-7 win at Bruce Hurst Field. Dixie State then battled Cal State San Bernardino in the nightcap in a contest that held no shortage of drama. The Trailblazers held an 8-1 lead heading to the final inning, but the Coyotes rallied with 7 runs to tie the game at 8-8. Cade Cloward ended the game for DSU 2 innings later with a walk-off single to left field in the bottom of the 11th inning. DSU opened Saturday with another matchup versus MSU Billings, and like Friday, the Yellow Jackets emerged victorious, using 16 hits to defeat the home squad 14-11. Trailblazers bounced back with a 4-2 win over the Coyotes Saturday evening in the lowest scoring game of the weekend when Logan Porter smashed a 2-run walk-off home run in the bottom of the 9th inning. Dixie State ended the weekend in fine fashion on Sunday morning, rolling to a 12-2 win in 7 innings over CSUSB to close the weekend with a 4-2 record. We stay on the diamond now, but transition to softball as the Trailblazers hosted the 2018 Easton Softball Classic last week at the Canyon Softball Complex in St. George. The tournament featured 16 teams from 4 different NCAA Division II conferences. Dixie State opened the weekend with 2 games on Thursday, rolling to a 13-5 victory in 5 innings versus Metro State Denver in the tournament opener. Janessa Bassett hit 2 home runs while Jessica Gonzalez added another on the way to the victory. Trailblazers followed up the win with another 5-inning victory. This time, DSU scored 11 runs in the 4th inning to roll to a 16-0 triumph over the Vikings of Western Washington. Dixie State kept rolling with a 10-1 win in 6 innings over Colorado State Pueblo in its only game of the day on Friday. Trailblazers scored 3 runs in the 1st, 5th, and 6th innings on the way to the win. Trailblazers picked off where they left off on Saturday morning with a 14-4 win over Montana State Billings, logging 14 hits in the 6th inning win. Janessa Bassett hit her 4th home run of the weekend, and Jessica Gonzalez added another to help seal the win. Then things got interesting. A late afternoon storm moved in on Saturday afternoon, and the wind gusted through the DSU's entire game versus Chadron State, changing the game significantly. Trailblazers eventually emerged victorious at 5-3, but the wind kept more runs off the board for the Trailblazers. DSU then closed the weekend with a wild 10-9 win in 9 innings on Sunday versus Colorado School of Mines at Carl Brooks Field. Trailing 8-5 in the bottom of the 8th, Trailblazers scored on a CSM error to cut the lead to 8-6. 5 pitches later, Janessa Bassett crushed her 5th home run of the weekend to tie the game at 8-8. Kenzie Sawyer ended the game in the bottom of the 9th with a walk-off single up the middle. Now, for her efforts throughout the weekend, Janessa Bassett was named Pac West Player of the Week on Monday and NFCA Division II National Player of the Week on Wednesday. Bassett hit .579 in the week with 11 hits and 5 home runs for 29 total bases. Additionally, Bassett recorded 12 RBI, scored 12 runs, and was a perfect 5 for 5 on stolen base attempts. So congratulations to Janessa Bassett, not only the Conference Player of the Week, but the National Player of the Week as well. Dixie State is now 8-0 and will play in the Cactus Classic in Tucson, Arizona this weekend. To the basketball court now as the women's basketball team returned to the Burns Arena after playing 5 of its last 6 games on the road. Trailblazers hosted Hawaii Hilo looking to bounce back after tough losses at Chaminade and Hawaii Pacific, and bounce back they did. Dixie State rolled to its largest margin of victory of the season, connecting on 10 three-pointers on its way to a 72-52 victory over the Vulcans. Termina Jordan led 3 DSU players in double figures with 13 points, while Maddie Ventling added 11 points and Miley Richardson added 10 points. We've got a few highlights from the game, so let's roll that tape. We'll take a look at those now.
With it, Martine, and it's going to find Stevenson for 3 again. And over to Jordan for 3. Martine bringing this one up. They're going to find Maddie Ventling wide open from 3. And
congratulations to the Trailblazers for a big victory. They are now 11-12 overall and 7-9 in Pac West play. Still not mathematically eliminated from earning that 6th and final spot in the Pac West tournament, but the Trailblazers will have to earn out and get some help to do that. We'll keep a close eye on their last 4 remaining games in Pac West play. We stay on the basketball court as the men's basketball team also hosted Hawaii Hilo on Saturday in search of its 11th consecutive victory. The Vulcans had other plans early, building an 11-point lead midway through the first half. Dixie State responded to cut the lead to 36-34 at the break, but still Hawaii Hilo maintained the lead at halftime. However, it was a tale of 2 halves as the Trailblazers outscored the Vulcans 55-19 in the second half to secure an 89-55 victory. Brandon Simister scored 20 points to lead DSU, while Kyler Nielsen added 14 points, and Austin Montgomery finished with 10 points. But as I mentioned, Simister with 20 points, the night belonged to Brandon Simister. He hit 4 3-point shots to become the career 3-point leader at Dixie State, passing Tom Whitehead for a total of 147 career 3-pointers made. We've got a few highlights, including Simister's record-breaking night. So let's take a look at those now. Let's roll the tape.
Out Brandon. How about a 3 left wing? Bang! Trevor back to Brandon. Another 3 right corner. Yes. Why not? Here we go. Dixie State has it the other way. Simister pops a 3. Bang! He's tied with Tom Whitehead. Trevor leaves for Brandon. Right wing 3 on the way. Bang! 3-point leader at Dixie State.
Your attention, please. With that previously made 3-pointer, Brandon Simister becomes the career leader in Dixie State University.
Let's see if we can get a replay of the record-setting 3. Here's the 1. That's the 3. Set the record for Brandon Simister. Love it. Love it. And they let them have it inside the arena. He's shooting free throws.
He can wave. He's smiling.
He's smiling. He's not going to acknowledge the crowd. A couple of free throws coming for Brandon.
So congratulations to Dixie State, especially Brandon Simister, the career 3-point leader. His name is already dotted all over the men's basketball record book, and still with 4 regular season games remaining and whatever postseason games remain, he's got a chance to move up in some other categories as well. The Trailblazers are now 17-6 overall, 14-2 in Pac West play, and sole possession of first place winners of 11 consecutive games. The Trailblazers, if they can hold on and win the next 4 games, they will win the Pac West Conference outright in their final go-round in Pac West play before moving to the RMAC next season. To the tennis court now, as the women's tennis team opened its spring schedule with 2 home matches against Colorado Mesa and Southern Utah at the Bloomington Country Club on Saturday. Trailblazers battled back and forth before falling 5-4 in the Colorado Mesa match. DSU dropped 2 of the 3 doubles matches to open the match as Kira Haramis, and Sabrina Longson earned a 9-8 win at #1 doubles for the team's lone doubles win. Teams battled back and forth during singles play and split the matches as the Mavericks clinched the close win. Haramis battled to a 7-5, 7-5 win at #2 singles, while Longson rolled to a 6-1, 6-4 triumph at #3 singles. Frances Hina Goldsmith also secured a 6-1, 6-4 victory at #4 singles in that close loss to Colorado Mesa. The Trailblazers also dropped 2 of the 3 doubles matches to open the match versus Southern Utah in the afternoon matchup as Maria Kana-Goldsmith and Lacey Hancock earned an 8-6 win at #3 doubles. Dixie State was unable to overcome the deficit during singles play as the Thunderbirds took 5 of the 6 singles matches. Haramis shined in singles play, earning a 7-6, 6-2 triumph at #1 singles, while Hina Goldsmith dropped a hard-fought 7-5, 7-5 loss at #3 singles. Should also include a quick note on women's golf before our first break. because we did not have a show last week, so we don't want to skip this. Junior Katie Ford tied for medalist honors to help lead Dixie State to a 4th place finish at the Point Loma hosted Reach 28 Invitational last week at the Par 72 6,040-yard Riverwalk Golf Course. Fourth place showing was the Trailblazers' 3rd straight top 5 finish in 4 total events on the 2017-18 season. So congrats to Katie Ford and the women's golf team on a strong start to the spring schedule. It's time now for our first break. We'll take a look ahead at this week's schedule right after this timeout.
Radio Dixie 91.3. We don't play that. Nope, not that. A big fat no there. That's what we play. And stuff like that. On St. George's only alternative, Radio Dixie 91.3. Oh, and from 9 till midnight, we play this. I need a one dance. And this. Radio Dixie 91.3 FM.
I take the road less traveled, run free, unwind, unravel someplace outside with lots to do. Green trees, red rocks, and don't forget that blue sky. The sunshine shining, sunshine pouring on me. Think I might just stay a while. Say hooray all day because the sun is gonna shine on me. Sun is gonna shine on me. Sun's gonna shine on me.
Hi, good morning. Welcome to our set here of Talking Point Live. We're just getting ready to shoot our show, but we thought we'd put out a little bit of a promotion so you know when this is going to be rebroadcast.
Right. You can find us at 9:30,
12:30.
4:30.
Sorry. Did I step on you? I'm always stepping on you.
You are.
Tune in and watch me step on Jen Moore on Talking
Or
Point Live.
attempt to, anyway.
Where do you find the titans of classical music in St. George? Classical music on Radio St. George 100.3 FM. Where do you find the legends of jazz? Evenings on Radio St. George 100.3 FM.
Welcome back inside the CEC TV studios in this week's edition of Trailblazer Weekly. With basketball and spring sports in full swing, there's a lot going on inside Dixie State Athletics. So let's take a look at the schedule for the next week in Trailblazer Athletics. You can follow along on your screen. Of course, women's swimming is at the PCSC Conference Championships in La Mirada, California. They started yesterday on Wednesday. They'll be there today, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. So you can follow that all the way through the weekend. We move into Friday, beginning with tomorrow, a busy day for Dixie State Athletics. Softball heading to Tucson, Arizona for the 2018 Cactus Classic. They will take on Southern Nazarene at 10 a.m. Mountain Time, followed by University of Mary at 12:30 p.m. Quick note on those games. I did get word that the couple of the games today on Thursday the 15th were canceled due to rain. There is some rain in the forecast tomorrow on Friday and a little bit on Saturday as well. So we'll keep a close eye on those games and give you any updates that you may need on cancellations or postponements for those softball games. Look for those and at Dixie Athletics on Twitter, as well as DixieStateAthletics.com will keep you updated. Also on Friday, the baseball team heading to Grand Junction to take on Colorado Mesa, the first of a 4-game set at 2:30 p.m. in Grand Junction. And then women's tennis traveling to Southern California. They will take on Concordia Irvine at 3 p.m. Pacific time, 4 p.m. Mountain on Friday. Moving in from Friday to a busy Saturday. Again, women's swimming finishing up their time at the PCSC Conference Championships in La Mirada, California. Baseball will have a 2-game doubleheader at Colorado Mesa in Grand Junction starting at noon Mountain Time. The softball team will play 2 games at the Cactus Classic, taking on Lubbock Christian at 12:30 p.m. Mountain Time, followed by a matchup a little bit later in the afternoon against Western Oregon. That will first pitch, and that one start at 3 p.m. Then the men's and women's basketball team will host Hawaii Pacific in the grudge match from a matchup just a couple of weeks ago. Women's game at 5:30, men's game at 7:30 inside the Burns Arena. Moving into Sunday, softball team will finish up their time at the Cactus Classic, taking on Fort Lewis at 10 a.m. Sunday morning, and then at noon we'll take on Franklin Pierce to finish their time in Tucson. The baseball team will also wrap up their 4-game set at Colorado Mesa at noon in Grand Junction. Moving into Monday, the last day of our look ahead, women's tennis finishing their 2-game trip to Southern California. They will take on Cal State LA at 10 a.m. Pacific time, so 11 a.m. back here in St. George. And then the men's and women's basketball teams, make sure you come out to the Burns. Try to get here Saturday and Monday if you can, but if you can't, come on Monday. A great family night activity for you as the men's and women's basketball team, their final home game of the season, senior night against Holy Names. The women's game will tip at 5:30 with the men's game at 7:30. We wish all of our teams the best of luck. It's a busy week. It's a crossover season with basketball still going and spring sports in full swing. We'll, of course, have all the results for you next time on Trailblazer Weekly, as well as on DixieStateAthletics.com. It's time for our final break. Football head coach Shane McClure joins us to discuss last week's National Signing Day right after the timeout. So don't go anywhere. There's a lot more Trailblazer Weekly right after this.
There we are. Hi, I'm Eric Young.
And I'm Jennifer Kohler.
And this is, we're coming to you right before our show that we go live with Talking Point Live. And we just want to tell you to make sure you join us Wednesdays at 9:30, live coming to you from the studios of the CEC here on the campus of Dixie State University.
Yeah, you can catch the rebroadcast at 9:30 when we're not live, and 12:30 and 4:30. Daily, weekly.
Daily, this is like way too much,
Yeah.
I think. But just in case you got something better to do,
Yeah.
there's all those times you can catch it as well. Also, you can catch us on our Facebook page at facebook.com/talkingpointlive and on the CEC YouTube channel. All right, see you there.
We're basically very catchable.
Well, you are.
Radio Dixie 91.3. We don't play that. Nope, not that. A big fat no there. That's what we play. And stuff like that. On St. George's only alternative, Radio Dixie 91.3. Oh, and from 9 till midnight, we play this.
I need a one dance.
And this. Radio Dixie 91.3 FM.
Welcome back inside the CEC TV studios one final time in this week's edition of Trailblazer Weekly. Last week was National Signing Day. It was a big day for Dixie State football. Today, head coach Shane McClure joins us to discuss the incoming class of future Trailblazers. Coach, thanks for stopping by the studio today, and wanted to do this last week, but was so busy with everything else going on. We're happy to sit down and discuss this big class of incoming freshmen, and a good one at that. You and I were talking last week, and of the 3 years you've been here, one of the better classes, just loaded with talent from top to bottom. So let's just jump right in with that and just talk about the signing class in general. What goals were you trying to accomplish? Where were you trying to get better specifically?
Well, and I said this when I took this program over, that we were going to build it from the front back. And this year, I thought our coaching staff did a great job of identifying both on the offensive and defensive line and sticking to our guns and really attacking needs and not just, willy-nilly trying to get guys. It was really about what our needs were, where we wanted to put our focus, and some of those things, even within the offensive and defensive line, of getting taller, of getting longer, of getting bigger, which I felt like we really did, do with our high school incoming offensive and defensive linemen. I don't think there's one under 6'3". I don't think there's one under about 250. Longer guys, long arms, long levers, which we really look to develop. We're not going quick fix on this and bringing in, 38 transfers or things. We're looking to build these kids up and let Coach Timmons have them in the weight room, let our coaches develop them skill-wise, and 2 years down the road, they should be playing for us.
You want to talk about filling specific needs. Obviously, 36, upwards of 40 players is probably not an ideal signing class every year. You probably want to whittle it down a few less as you retain some of those players. But this year there was a need to bring in that many players.
And I'll say this, Carrick, we went in with the thought process of signing somewhere between 25 and 28. Had a huge weekend the last weekend and really brought in some key targets at the very end who, for whatever reason, we became more attractive to, more available. I mean, we beat a couple Mountain West schools on a young man. We beat 5 or 6 Big Sky schools on 3 different young men. You know, so again, when those young men are available, you make the offer and they accept, you don't turn it down. You know, so again, no, it's not ideal. But at the same time, I know, you know, every young man on this list, and I think I was telling you this, I've been at the Division II level now for 13 years. This is by far, from top to bottom, the best class I've ever been a part of. You know, and again, that's a credit to my assistant coaches who did a bang-up job and really sold Dixie State football, the vision that we all have here for Dixie State football, and where we're going. You know, and I think it resonates with how many young men were, you know, excited to join it.
You and I had a talk. It was off air, obviously, but to be able to bring recruits in and they can see the stadium going up on the east side, how attractive was that, and how nice of a piece was that for you guys to be able to show these recruits as they come in? Hey, look, this is phase 2. We're working on this, and then there, you know, phase 3 is in the works. I mean, did it play much of a factor in being able to swing these kids to come here to see progress in progress? You
know, it did, and obviously, you know, and I've been a lot of different places, and there's always lip service on we're going to get this, we're going to get that. Well, when it's right in front of you and it's truly tangible that this is being done and this is going to be ready for your freshman season, you know, it definitely resonates with the young men. The other part of it, though, that I look at, and I tell them this in my presentation, is to me it's not about so much the facility, but if you're president of your university and your administration down to, you know, our athletic director are truly willing to put in the funding that it is taking to build this facility, you know there's a commitment to being great at football. Not just good, but great. And so, again, that definitely hit home with the young men and their parents. Hey, you know, this is real.
We talked about the class in general. Let's just jump in, maybe talk about, you know, each position just to wrap things up here. Obviously, right off the bat, you talked about how you wanted to get better up front on both sides of the line. Let's start there. You know, offensive line, you brought in a lot of big guys, obviously, to be able to establish the running game like you guys like to do. You got to have a good, solid offensive line. So let's talk about offensive line and maybe pick 1 or 2 guys out that you guys brought in that you're excited to have here.
Sure. Well, we did bring in a mid-year transfer, Josh Partita, who's going to shore up our offensive line immediately. And we did bring in one other transfer, a young man by the name of Chris Grasso from Southern California, who's also going to bring immediate help. I think there are 3 or 4 guys in this class of the offensive line that are going to see playing time this year, either as a starter or a significant backup. Jarvis Stafford is a young man, again, one of those guys that we beat Big Skies on. Young man out of Los Angeles that, you know, I think is going to have an unbelievable career, and it's going to happen early. Kyle Whiteside out of El Toro High School down in Orange County. Another young man I think is going to come in, and he's already developed. He's played every position on the offensive line in high school, which really makes him versatile for us, and being able to move him from center to guard to tackle, and where's his best fit and where's our biggest need. You know, so those 2 young men definitely stick out, you know, but again, I think it's a great class. And the thing about recruiting is you're never 100%, you know, and again, I remember vividly 2 years ago, we signed a young man who was probably 4th at his position coming in. Well, he happened to be the freshman defensive player of the year in the conference and first team all conference a year ago, you know, so again, you never know. It is at any level, you know, on paper, I love this class. Now, talk to me 2 years from now, and I'll tell you truly how it plans out.
Let's go, just for sake of time, move from the offensive line and then just offensively. You brought in a few quarterbacks, a couple in the mid-year, another high schooler, and then you brought in a couple running backs, a couple receivers, and a tight end as well. So just offensively, the skill guys are going to have their hands on the ball, you know, play in and play out.
Mm-hmm. You know, and we brought in some dynamic guys that really, when I hired Coach Rowland, you know, I shot him a lot of film and said, hey, here's who we are on right now. how would you see these guys? And, and Cameron Breckenridge, a tight end out of San Diego Mesa Junior College, really fits like what we want to do. 6'6" young man that can play in line, but more importantly, split out at the wide receiver position. Isaiah Wooden, who's a wide receiver out of Helix High School in San Diego, might be one of the most explosive young men I've ever seen. I mean, I watched him live in a game dunk over 2 guys at 5'8", mind you. So really explosive there. Starks, the tailback out of Etowanda. I mean, I keep getting phone calls daily. How'd you get this guy? And Coach Willie Matt Garza did an awesome job with he and his family. So we're excited. I really feel like we added pieces. The quarterback position you brought up. We did bring in the 2 mid-year transfers who are here right now doing a great job. Then we signed Chase Peterson out of Tesoro High School, who had a bunch of Pac-12 preferred walk-on things. And, so we're excited. And I told Coach Rowland, and he didn't really know the lay of the land of what we've dealt with at the quarterback position in my 2 years here. And I said, I don't care if we have 24 of them. We're going to find one, that can lead us to the promised land.
Defensively now, we can talk about a little bit about defensive line, and then just take us through it. Linebackers, safeties, defensive backs as well.
Again, D-line, again, we've got some impact guys coming in. Michael Oliver is a young man out of Steel Canyon High School down in Southern California. Jaden Lacayo out of Snow Canyon. Caden Williams out of Dixie High School. There's just a lot of talent in that group at a position that we're very thin right now. So again, any of those young men can provide an immediate impact for us. And again, we did get longer, bigger, better at those positions. We're really, really excited. Julian Sanderlin at the 5 technique is a pass rushing specialist who got one of the best bursts off the ball I've seen in a long time. At the linebacker position, we have depth there, and so it's really going and getting those guys that can make an immediate impact. Travis Plantier out of Vista Marietta is an impact guy. Malaki out of Marietta Valley, impact guy. And again, both of them almost 6'3", long levered guys, make us longer and more athletic. And then in the secondary, we got faster. And we signed a really good group. Coach Garza did a great job of identifying those guys. But we got some true speed in the secondary that's going to come in and provide immediate depth and really push the guys we have right now. And is what we talk about with our team all the time. Competition is the best thing that can happen. So guys cannot get complacent on what we're trying to do.
We're almost out of time here, but I'd be remiss if I didn't mention your special teams, Josh Carlson, your punter coming in out of Gilbert, Arizona. I know you're really excited about what he'll bring.
Very excited about Josh. Josh, and the rankings are all over the place around the country on who's the best punters and things. But, on some rankings, he's a top 10 punter. Loves to fish, so he was excited about coming up here. And great family. Absolutely love Josh. Excited about Josh. We don't have a punter right now on the roster, so getting Josh was really important for me. And then Dylan Douglas, the long snapper, he's another young man. We graduated our long snapper. Dylan is a guy who throws in the high point sixes, on the long snap, and those 2 young men are going to have to come in and be the guy.
He's head coach Shane McClure. I'm Carrick Sagmiller. We're breaking down the 2018 Dixie State football signing class. You can read all about it, the full release at DixieStateAthletics.com. Check us out on social media at Dixie Athletics on Twitter especially, and on Instagram. You can see all the great things we did last week for bringing those guys in. Coach, appreciate you stopping by and chatting with us about signing day. We're excited to see through spring ball and into the fall what these kids bring to the table.
I agree.
That'll do it for today's show. Remind you that you can catch all episodes of Trailblazer Weekly on demand on the Dixie State Athletics YouTube page, specifically youtube.com/Dixie State Athletics, where you can watch the show anytime, anywhere. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time on Trailblazer Weekly.